is a clear indication that Nigeria's real estate industry is very viable. This is, however, understandable in a country of 200 million population where housing demand-supply gap is well over 20 million units, while annual housing output is between 50,000 and 100,000 units. Despite these encouraging figures and trends, the Nigerian real estate industry is still burdened by several issues that are hindering its growth. One of such is buildings collapse. With a recent tragedy in the Ikoyi axis of Lagos State, it brings to question the balancing of quality and profit in real estate business. Joining me now to talk more about this is a professor of housing and urban regeneration and the founding director, Center for Housing and Sustainable Development, University of Lagos, Professor Timothy Nubi. Thank you very much, Prof, for joining us on the program. Good morning.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
It seems that since we didn't have our own natural disaster, so we create it by ourselves by shared negligence. Shared negligence, is that how to describe this in Ikoyi?
Yeah. Sincerely speaking, I want to start by saying that this is a sad moment in my life. Because I've been advocate of vertical development as a way out of housing shortages. That we can't continue to afford, we can't continue to spread horizontally. It's expensive. So we've been pushing for vertical development.
When you say vertical development,
that's the high rises. You see, high rise.
Okay.
Let's go up. Let's mass produce. Mm-hmm. And this is a response. And what you see happened is not a disaster on individual or company. It's a national disaster. It's truncating efforts of many years. You don't fund such projects with local funding all over the world. They are most of the time internationally sourced source of fund. Who will come and fund projects in a country that cannot say that we can do 21 floors? So it's a big problem. It's a big blow to the emergence or evolution of the industry. So it's a big big blow. So is it negligence? You know, there are reports. There is a panel already set up because it's a big issue. We're not talking of 3 floors. We're talking of 21 floors. It's not
now.
3 naira.
Would it be as a competence issue? Is it that Nigerians, we don't have the skills? Do we have to employ the services or the foreign counterparts? I mean, you talked about funding, and you cannot fund this kind of project, just from local funding. If any international...
The issue is this. The promoter of this particular project, Meso Recipes, is late now. He died in that project.
Yes.
Was one of those who died that day. The competence, when we are talking of competence, this was a man, or is a man, we can use words now, who was celebrated in UK, the first black person to do high-rise in UK successfully.
So what do you think may
he did
have
it in South
gone,
Africa.
What do you think may have gone wrong?
So if we are talking of competence, if this is the first project in Nigeria, if this is his first project in life, then we'll say competence. He's done it in UK, he's done it in South Africa. Now in Nigeria, it failed. Then we begin to look at our value system. We begin to look at our value system. Nigerians have done well all over the world. In America, we are the most educated tribe or national all over in America. 70% of Nigerians in America, they hold their master's degree. The statistics are there. We've done well all over the world. Why is it that when we come to this country, we cannot do well? People that are celebrated over the world, they come to this country, we cannot do well. Then we begin to look at our system. Begin to look at this Nigeria as of today is different from the Nigeria that we were born into. It's a Nigeria today that is individualism driving the system rather than institutionalism. Institutions were not respected. Individualism, whom you know. Because the few clips we saw, we see that if institutions, if we will have breakdown on the highway, if LASMA and traffic control bodies were allowed to do their work, if we can obey traffic lights. But somebody is arrested, breaking traffic lights, is making a phone call, and the person is let go. So individualism triumphs over institutions. So it is because there is institutional breakdown. Building process. Before you can erect a building, especially of that magnitude, there are processes. The first stage is the design process. Second stage is the regulatory, the approval by regulatory agencies. The third stage is the award of the contract and the construction of the said building. These are delicate stages. The design stage, if you don't get it right, the building can collapse right on the drawing board. So experts have to be brought in. But my concern is when we look at the volume of work, 21-story building is not what quacks could be involved. Professionals must be involved, and they were involved. So we begin to look at what went wrong.
Absolutely, because that's the question a lot of people seeking, for answers to. And also that's also talking about now quality and profit.
Yes.
I mean, these are private individuals.
Yes.
How do you balance, what went wrong? Is it about cutting costs?
Is it in all over the world, this process of funding such projects, like I said, you don't fund such projects without putting in place your right papers. You have your design is approved. There is financial analysis. You know your profit. If it's not profitable, you don't go into it. It's there. It's not a small-scale project. Funders who will fund such projects in any client, they will look at your design. They will interrogate those who are involved who are the construction team. They will look at your cash inflow, compare it against the outflow. They will look at your net profit, your RRR. All these things were looked at, and they consider the viability of the project. Then you move to side. This, when we talk of a project of that magnitude in different climates, until the report comes out, if a project of 21 floors, you can't just do it, assemble quacks without expert. So the issue of cutting cutting cement.
Is it possible that this is a case of assembling quacks? If this is an individual that have done this kind of project elsewhere, why would it be different here?
You see, there are different stories. There are different stories that's flying on the social media. Stories of certain floors were approved, 15 floors approved.
Well, the deputy governor said, the 21 floor was actually approved.
Great.
Yes. But that's, perhaps it was a substandard products that were used.
Then there's a problem. If the deputy governor should tell us that, then there's a problem. There's a problem in the sense that we are talking of 21 floors. And we said in this process we are talking about, after the design, after we have the design, the architectural design, the structural engineering design, the developer will submit all these things for government experts to approve. They look into it. Apart from the funders also interrogating them, they look into them. And during construction, they were well stated. During construction, first floor, second floor, nobody is raising flag that they are poor standard of work, poor materials. We are shouting, we can be claiming poor material at the 21st floor. That is not, the governor should not quickly jump into that conclusion, because there are people in charge. Then who are in charge? Who should have reported on the when they were on the first floor, second floor, third floor, that the work that is going on here is shoddy. The work that is going on, because all these things were stated. There are people that are responsible. 21-story building is not a bungalow that you can hide, that you don't know something is going on. Wherever 21-story, 10-story building is going on, people know that there's a project going on. So the government official cannot say that for such project, at every stage that they were casting concrete for each floor, that they were not supervising and approving every stage. That's what the law says.
Now, I mean, I don't know. We've seen a lot of real estate, coming up.
Yeah.
Let's take it from the perspective of the government. I mean, government have been involved in developing houses, talking about housing development to bridge the housing deficit.
Yes.
Let's look at the 1004. We have the Jakonde estate. I mean, these estates were built long time ago and they are still standing. So why are we having these issues? Why is the government's project always different from what the private sectors perhaps are doing? We've not had this issue of government estates, dropping.
Yes, you are not too correct in the sense that this value erosion is everywhere. If you come to the University of Lagos, you see the building that were done several years ago, the Senate area, the auditorium, the engineering, the science faculty. And when you come down towards the gate, you see constructions of the last 10, 15 years. You can't compare them. Every generation always leaves this world. In most parts of the world, a generation will always strive to leave this world better than they met it. But that's the reverse in this country. Those estates you pointed at, there were 3 floors, 4 floors. There were 3 floors, 4 floors. And when you see 1004 that we are saying that were built in the 70s, you can't compare them to what we are building now. You understand what I'm saying? That is what, I mean, as I grew up in this country, as a young child, I have an aunt that was selling here. And I saw written on the front of the shop, off and on license, that there is a place, if this place is licensed for on, you can drink there. If it's off license, you can't drink there. It disappeared. We don't see such signboard. When I got to England for the first time, I saw this signboard, off and on license. Their rules are obeyed. Over the years, people don't obey rules. Standards have dropped. People believe that who is there? Who is a Loma or LASTMA official that can arrest me? Who is that in planning office that can stop my work? I will make a phone call. This is what we are hearing. I'll make a phone call, and this I will allow to continue with whatever I am doing. That if government agencies are allowed to do their work without interference from individual, the power that bees, wherever they are, who have a better country. If institutions will be respected, if we can collectively build institutions, because institutions that will regulate. No university can just come up and do whatever they like. There's NUC, regulating your curriculum, regulating your teaching, regulating the way you mark scripts. If you don't do it, they will withdraw your accreditation. NUC is there, regulating. If other agencies were given that power to do their work, we won't have this collapse here and there.
All right, Professor. I mean, when we started this conversation, you talked about how sad, I mean, the situation is for you, because you've always advocated for
high rise.
High rise, as we talk about bridging the house basic gap. So going forward, well, I would want to get your thoughts on that regeneration. Take a short break, as I advocated. Urban regeneration. I'm talking about, yes, the vertical, development. I mean, with what we are seeing now, a lot of people like myself would be afraid to actually go live on a high rise, like that. How do we, stop?
Get out of this.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. I will say that every house, let me start with that. I will come back to the solution. We have the solution. Every building has they have lifespan, mostly 70 to 80 years. If you don't regenerate, if you don't retrofit, they will drop dead, like any human being. So we have not seen collapse. We have not started experiencing collapse. You see buildings dropping dead when they get to that age. So we should prepare for more collapse of even low-rise building. Because once they get to their lifespan, they begin to drop. And we are not doing retrofitting, we are not doing regeneration. So how do we guard against future collapse? This nation must embark upon mass urban regeneration. Old buildings in old locations must be regenerated. That must be, because there is no maintenance or repair culture in this country. So we must consciously drive urban renewal, urban regeneration. We must do that. But what's the solution to all these things? Many years back, for almost 10, 15 years, professionals in this country came together to do National Building Code.
Yeah.
National Building Code is there.
Yes.
Voluminous book like a Bible for the building industry. The building code is like the MOT for vehicle. No vehicle will be on the road today. In Europe, they started in Nigeria, they will stop it. We call it roadworthiness. That this vehicle is worthy to be on the road and not endanger people's life. The same thing is the building code. The building code is to prevent such occurrences. Everything is spelled down there. The role of every professional, the role of every institution.
But is that being carried out?
It's not. Mimico muscle some strengths during his time as Minister for Housing. And they finalized it after working on it for over 15 years. But between the time of Mimico and now, the National Assembly have not passed it. We labored to get the building code out. Just like any policy in this country, national policy. That's a major problem. Because the building code is like MOT
so for how important do you think it is for them to really pass this at this time?
With all these things that we see going on, because government is not, we are not as rich as we used to be. They were asking private sector to drive the industry, the housing industry. Now, the private sector can only do it through funding, mostly from overseas. Now, we are eroding trust on this source of. So, government is not building houses, private sector driven one is collapsing. So, but what could prevent it is already in their hand, the National Building Code. Thank God for Lagos State. They tried as much as possible to domesticate it. But you see, if it's law today, if the National Building Code is passed by the National Assembly and it becomes law, all these people, those that were involved, the penalties are there. Because about 40 people were working on that site. As of today, about 7 people were found dead, or I don't know the number now.
30 something.
Found dead.
Yes.
That's murder. You see, if you are involved in the project, unfortunately, the promoter died in this case, but they are consultants. There are people who worked on the project. They still have questions to answer.
Absolutely.
They still have questions to answer. If we begin to persecute those who are involved in the projects that collapse, buildings that collapse, you see people will sit up. But a case will come, all this thing now, in the next 1 week, is out of this issue. That's the problem. Once you know that for what you do, like in the Moses law, Hammurabi's law, eye for an eye. If you build a house for me, it collapse, I'll go and demolish your home. You know, it's as hard. So when you want to build house for me, and you know that, you know the implication, you will sit up. But no punishment. People just continue to do.
Life continues.
Life continues.
Those that
Life
are dead
continues.
are dead.
So, but the building code is there. This urban regeneration is there in the building code, because every 4 years, the architect or group of people must certify a building okay for human existence. So it's there. So persecution of offenders, enforcement of the National Building Code is the only way, because all the responsibilities of the professionals in the building industry, they were well stated there. Let's dust it from where it is. Let the National Assembly, for heaven's sake, help this country look into that building code and pass it into law.
Yeah. Now, where does insurance, come to play, in all of this? Yesterday, I was listening to Mr. Babatunde Fashola talk about the fact that introduction of insurance during and after construction, as a measure for safety.
It helps. It will definitely help, because they become regulator. If I insure your building, now, I will make sure that those requirements, safety precautions are put in place. So it's important. So because when you want to insure, you go to insurer, all they will demand from you before they can say we can insure this project, you find out that all these things, they are in place. So when the insurance industry is robust, they become part of the regulators of the industry. Because they are more or less the financial regulator now, that we don't want to suffer loss. We want to see who is the contractor, what is the antecedent, who is the designer, where have they worked before. They will put their eyes where they have insured. So those are the institutions we're talking about, that we must begin to build institutions. We must begin to build institutions that will help this system. We must begin to. Insurance is a major institution in the construction industry. They are coming to play. We reinforce regulation, and they will ensure that best practices are maintained, standard products were used, because they also don't want to suffer loss. If this project was insured, insurance company is in trouble now. Because they don't want to be in trouble. They will make sure that what is going on there is ideal and standard.
All right. Now let's look at our rescue mechanism, disaster management, in all of this. How important it is for real estate developers to also put all of that into consideration, because what we're seeing being done here, having bulldozers, having to get, so even if you have there could be a possibility for you to rescue a lot of people alive there. With the manner of which they are doing that, I wonder, perhaps that's the reason we're having, the number of people, of bodies being brought out from there.
I read it, that when it happened, few people that were around, they were trying to bring, help some people out. But they said when security officers came in, they drove them out and sealed the bill. So, and it took time for official rescue team to come to the site. You know, there is still a lot of work to do. But this is not the responsibility of developers. It's not the responsibility of developers. It's still part of the infrastructure that we need to develop. In real estate, we have physical infrastructure, legal infrastructure. The emphasis in this part of the world now has always been on physical infrastructure, road, water, this. There are physical infrastructure, like insurance we have said. There are legal infrastructure, laws, like building code. There must be law. You see, part of the institution is rescue. The rescue team is not the developer. You know, the work we are doing today is like if every house is a local government. You provide your electricity, you dispose your waste, you employ teachers to teach your children. That's the way. If we are saying that rescue team must also be in the laundry list of developers, the cost of construction will continue.
I mean, you know, we've had, when you look at some places in Lagos, the way they build, you know, houses are being clustered together. You'll find out that a lot of times there's no breather, actually, because of the clustering.
Yeah, that's government. That's planning. That's planning. David said, if the foundation is faulty, what can the righteous do? That's planning. It's not individual that will come and do a plan of a place. That's government. That's what we are saying. We have messed up our city. Let us do regeneration. Let us plan. Let us create access. Because there is the access problem to disaster site is always a major factor in a rescue operation. So, but how do we have organized system? How do we have a well-planned city that if there's a problem, rescue team they can respond promptly, no hindrance, no barrier, no traffic issue. These are planning. It's government. It's in government's hand. Every developer must submit their layout. If it's not approved by government, you can't go and build. It's still part of the design, regulation, approval. If all these stages were thoroughly followed, we can't be crying foul at the end when the problem actually started right from the design stage. So we must have sound design. We must have master plan. Areas that we have messed up, no adequate access, we must begin to do regeneration. Replan the places. Most cities in the world, Chicago, for instance, has the largest slum. In the 80s, that Martin Luther King led demonstration to do away, to tear down the slums in Chicago. Today, Chicago is a beautiful city. So the fact that we have slum today doesn't mean that that's our life. Let us replan them. All these problems we are seeing here and there. Because like you said, that building collapsed, yes. But people were still rescued the following day. If people move to that site, immediately it happened, we'll rescue more people. Many people will be alive. But it took time for them to get there. It took time for the rescue team to even gather themselves together, to get there now, to gain access. All these are implications of the problems we've created for ourselves in the past. But because we've messed up the past, doesn't mean that we should be living in that problem. Nations roll their sleeves and they solve their problems. No, all over 1986, Dubai that we rushed to today, it was a small village in a desert. So many things. And as a nation, we have achieved great things. Abuja is a beautiful city, one of the most beautiful cities in the world. If we achieve Abuja, between the time that we built Abuja, why can't we transfer it to state capitals, local government capitals? and regenerate. It's not a rocket science. We have done it. We built Abuja. Abuja, if it's a white man project, it's been business record. A desert, a wilderness, turned to a mighty and beautiful city that can compare with any city in the world. We have done it. It's not a rocket science. And the success we have in Abuja today, because during the time of El Rufai, he regenerated Abuja. Abuja was going on declining line. We saw the massive demolition. Say, no, you can't build on manhole, no matter whom you are. He did not respect individual. He made sure that he strengthened that machinery regulatory institution. And Abuja is better off for it today. If Abuja minus El Rufai, Abuja will be a wilderness, Ajigule, today. But look at what we see in Abuja today. Because when the man was regenerating, making sure that planning laws were followed, it was a big problem. But once we strengthen institutions, we don't have respect for individuals. There was a big person, a general, that he brought his house down. And he said, how can the general build on a manhole of a street? He put it down. It's in this country. If we can achieve such in Abuja, let us achieve it in our major cities.
Thank you very much, Professor. I think it's a good way for us to leave this conversation. It's really sad, but let's just hope that we eventually get it right. You talked about the building code. Let's just hope that the National Assembly would actually look at it, considering what has happened now. Thank you very much
for your time. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Okay.